Morning. Welcome to the Tuesday edition of the Art Lewis Show. Nice to have you with us. Later on, after the 10 o'clock news, Bay County Executive Jim Barsha will be joining us. At 11 o'clock, we'll learn about Roof Max from Beden-Lebanov. But we're going to start this hour talking about Emergency Preparedness Month, National Preparedness Month. And we're going to do that with the Region 5 Administrator for FEMA. He is Tom Sivak. And Tom, good morning to you.
Hey, good morning, Art. How are you doing today?
Hey, we're doing all right. Doing all right. The weather is foggy, but otherwise okay. So we don't have to prepare for anything right this minute. But the bottom line is you never know when you have to prepare. We know around here we had the dam failures and what that led to. You just never know when the next emergency is going to come up, do you?
That's right, Art, and that's exactly why today is such a great day to really think about preparedness. This year, we're really focusing on the theme of starting a conversation, just like today with both you and I, Art. And one of the things that we're focused on is the Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander communities. One of the things we've done in the last couple of years is we've started to put focus on our targeted communities. Preparedness starts at home with all of us. However, as we start to focus on targeted communities, one of the opportunities we have is to understand the barriers to preparedness, understanding how to make sure that we can communicate with the communities, and really understand the cultures of the communities as well.
Do we know why? Do we know why their numbers are skewed from the national? Because as I understand it, I mean, even nationally, it's about half, which is not all that great. Why? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, let's talk about some numbers. So nearly 80% of Americans say preparation for disasters is very important to them, yet only 37% of Americans have taken steps to prepare for them. When we started focusing on the Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander communities, in FEMA's 2023 National Household Survey, nearly two-thirds of Asian Americans and over half of Native Hawaiian or Pacific Islanders did not believe that taking a step to prepare will make a difference in a disaster, and were not confident in their ability to prepare either. And so one of the focuses that we had was making sure that we can understand why that is, understanding the barriers to preparedness, and making sure we can meet the communities where they are to make sure that we can create whole community resilience.
So let me ask this. Do naturally occurring events change that outlook any? Here's what I mean by that. You talk about, for example, the Hawaiian population. Did the fires on Maui all of a sudden wake people up in Hawaii to say, well, maybe we better prepare?
You know, one of the things that I can say is that FEMA has always made a priority on preparedness across the nation. It doesn't matter where. We've been focusing all of our preparedness on before, during, and after disasters. And, you know, really our focus now on the response and recovery efforts in Hawaii is a really, a great opportunity to reach people both really nationwide. And so one of the things I can say is this, as we start to have the conversation, the other thing I want to just say is that disasters can happen anywhere at any time.
Right.
And we want communities to understand the risk of their community. Art, you just brought it up, the floods that impacted the communities up in Michigan as a prime example. Floods happen on a regular basis. It's the number one threat across the United States and the number one threat in FEMA Region 5. And one of the highest threats we have in Michigan as well. So understanding the risk is the most important. Once you understand your risk of your community and knowing the types of disasters that can be impacted, the next thing we want to do is make sure that you as an individual in the community can create a plan. Know where to get weather alerts from, whether it's from your favorite weather app to downloading the FEMA app to be able to receive those alerts to know what to do if something's taken place. And then lastly, it's understanding that if you are impacted by a disaster, how are you going to communicate with your family members if you don't have the right communications or if you have degraded communications as well? And then lastly, what I can say is this. After a disaster, it's what do I do next? And you can always go to ready.gov or listo.gov to really know what to do before, during and after a disaster takes place.
What do we do in terms of preparedness in the house, for example? I mean, communication is important. Let's start there, and I agree with you 100%. Not only communications in terms of weather reports and things of that nature, but how you communicate with your family is just as important, isn't it?
Absolutely. Having, we are such a reliant community these days on technology, but knowing those top three numbers that you're going to call to check in if something were to take place in your home is vitally important. That's the communications plan. Checking on your neighbors and making sure that your neighbors are okay. Anywhere from, during an extreme heat event where the power might go out to if you have a high-inch rain event that might take place where there's impacts throughout the community, maybe flooded basements. The next thing, too, is when you're creating that plan is making sure you have enough food and water for at least 72 hours. You just never know when a community is so impacted how you're going to be able to make sure that you can have those essentials that take place. And then the last thing to do is make sure that we don't forget about the pets. One of the things that we find time and time again is making sure that we have our preparedness kits for home, work, in the car, but also for our pets as well.
So all of this comes into focus during this month, but this is year-round, isn't it?
Disaster preparedness is a 365-day approach. We always talk about blue sky days. You said it's a little bit foggy today, but that's a blue sky day where there's no disasters that are potential that could happen. And it's always a great opportunity to take that time to have a conversation with your family, your loved ones, your friends, your community, to talk about preparedness, and then making actionable steps to be able to create that plan, create that kit, and then update that kit on a regular basis too. And making sure we always know where we're going to get that important information if something were to take place.
All right, so tell everybody, again, in conclusion, the websites they can go to for more information.
Yep, there's three. The first is downloading the FEMA app on the App Store, either on Apple or on Google Play. The second thing is going to ready.gov or listo.gov as well, and you can get all of your preparedness information there.
Well, Tom, listen, I thank you for spending a little time with us this morning during National Preparedness Month, and hope everybody takes it to heart.
Great. Thanks, Art. Thanks for having us this morning.
You're welcome. Thanks for calling. Bye-bye now. Tom Sivak, he is the Region 5 Administrator for FEMA, and Michigan is part of Region 5. We thank him for joining us. For the remainder of the hour, it's open phones, 989-752-6111.
You're invited to join the members of...
This is a test of the emergency.
All right, we're back with you. We'll get to our phones here in just a moment. Tonight, of course, the big debate between the two presidential candidates, Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. Will you be watching? First televised debate, according to the U.S. Senate, took place on November 4th, 1956. It was supposed to be Democrat candidate Adlai Stevenson against incumbent Republican President Dwight D. Eisenhower. Now, I say it was supposed to be because neither of those candidates showed up. It was surrogates. The former First Lady, Eleanor Roosevelt, and Republican Senator Margaret Chase Smith. Two surrogates filled in for the presidential candidates in the first televised debate. That was interesting. That hasn't happened since, by the way. There's no surrogates allowed. All right, let's go to our phones this morning and see what's up with Michael in West Branch. Michael, good morning.
Good morning, Art. How are you today?
Doing well, thanks.
Great. Last week, was it last week when you were on vacation or the week before?
Yeah, the week before, yeah.
Okay. One of your colleagues had a monologue where he was lamenting about, is this the best candidate that we can put forth as far as the Democrats and the Republicans? And in my opinion, with Harris, she would not have won the nomination. She was appointed. She got 0 delegates. So they could have done better there. As far as Donald Trump, he is absolutely the best candidate for the position. And I say that, again, this is opinion, but I say that because I don't think any other president has the position that he had as far as, hey, everything's what's the best deal he can get for our country? What's the best deal he can get for the American people? And let me give you a couple examples, Art. When he was dealing with the Taliban leader, he told him, okay, it's conditions-based, and if you harm a hair on an American soldier's head, I'm going to kill you. And then he gave him a satellite photo of his home and walked out of the room.
Yeah.
0 Americans died in 18 months. Okay? He told Iran, and Iran was basically sanctioned, and their assets were frozen. They didn't have the money to fund all this terrorism going on in the Middle East. And now today they're saying that Iran's actually selling missiles to Russia. So things are going to get worse over there. They didn't have the money for that. When it came to China, he said, hey, we're not going to take it anymore. We're not going to take billions of dollars in deficits as far as trade. NATO, he gave him the thought that, hey, he may not support you because they weren't kicking in the money they're supposed to as far as their GDP. So everything for Trump, look, people need to think about this. When you vote this November, who is the best person who's going to negotiate the best deals for you on every one of those aspects? And my taxes went down from 25 to 22. Federal taxes.
Yep.
Those taxes are going to go up for everybody next year. And they've already said they're going to let those taxes go back to what they were before Trump. So my point is, Art, he is the best man. He's not a politician. He is now considered, but he's not a politician. He gets to the point. He gets to the point. This is the way it's going to be. It's a hard line of what's the best for this American people and what's best for this country.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens.
Okay. We'll see what happens. Thanks,
You got it, buddy. Take care. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
And next up is Al in Bay City. Good morning, Al.
Morning, Arthur. I attended the Bay City Players Friction Theater performance of
Nonsense.
show they put on Sunday, and I want to tell you, they did a great job. 5 nuns that did an outstanding job, and I commend the Bay City Players for doing that show.
Well, actually, the
Really
Friction
good.
Theater did the show. They used the Bay City Players Theater. So Friction Theater gets the credit. They're phenomenal. All right.
Thank you.
You bet. Bye-bye now. And we say hi to Gene in Saginaw Township. Gene, good morning to you.
Good morning, Art. I was just wondering, I think I had called about this before, but whatever you were going to check, whatever became of radio station WJR? There used to
Nothing
be
as far as I know. I asked somebody about it, and they said, well, nothing.
Well, I can't get it at 750, which it used to be their call letters, so I don't understand that.
760, not 50.
Oh.
Maybe that's what's wrong, Gene.
I guess so.
You could try that and let me know.
I will. Okay, thanks, Art. Bye-bye.
All right, Gene. Take care. Bye-bye now. All right. Well, I love it when we can solve a problem that simply. I mean, that's wonderful. Oh, my goodness. I want to get back to the debates. Have you watched them over the years? I'll give you my history of them. Early on in my young life, my 20s, and when I first got in broadcasting and all of that, and even before that, I was sort of a political junkie. I would faithfully watch every minute of every single convention. I would watch every debate. And as I got older, I began to lessen my participation, because what I discovered was I didn't learn anything from the debates, with few exceptions. The debates that have really had significant impact on an election are few and far between. Now, obviously, you can go back to the Nixon-Kennedy debates. That debate without question cost Nixon the election. You can go to the Trump-Biden debate most recently, and obviously it cost President Biden his candidacy. But other than that, I really can't think of a time when I walked away from a debate saying, oh, okay, I learned something new that I didn't know. Other than well-rehearsed quip lines, and stuff like that. I will be curious tonight to see if there is any change. Right now, depending on the poll you look to, this one's up by a point, this one's up by 2 points, this one's up. They're all within the margin of error. In other words, we are a divided nation. Got a whole bunch of people on the left and an equal bunch of people on the right and a whole group in the middle. And as you can tell by listening to the candidates, particularly in this case, and I don't mean to pick on her, but I'm going to, Kamala Harris wants you to believe that she is a moderate. She's never been a moderate in her life. She's never voted as a moderate in the Senate. She has always been to the far left and has been rated as probably the most far left senator in her time. But candidates understand that they need the moderate vote. They need to attract those undecided in the middle. So all of a sudden, she's changing her tune on a lot of issues to make her seem moderate. And this happens every election with a lot of candidates. And the only one that ever did it, and I'm going to say this, and I know some of my Republican friends are going to go, what are you talking about? Bill Clinton ran as a moderate, and in reality, he acted like a moderate in his presidency. You may not like him. You may not have liked some of the stuff he did, personally particularly. But the reality is, he moderated the office. He did. Most of the time, though, unless you're a moderate coming in and you're known to be a moderate, candidates tend to move to the middle to get elected and then do what they want once they're elected. And Joe Biden's a perfect example of that. He was going to be the great unifier. Well, he wasn't unifying anybody. The first thing he did was move left as soon as he took office. And it's happened, by the way, on both sides. I don't mean just to blame one or the other, but we're looking at what's happening today in this race. So it's hard to know what they'll do once they get in office by how they sound during the campaign. You almost have to go back and look at their history and see what their history tells you about them to understand how they think and what they will do once they're elected. So tonight, because of what's happened politically in the last couple of months, particularly in the Democratic Party, with the pushing aside of Joe Biden and the anointing of Kamala Harris versus Trump, who has his issues, it might be interesting entertainment tonight. Don't know that I'm going to learn anything. Don't know that I'm going to learn anything at all. But be interesting. And by the way, you'll be able to hear the debate at 9 o'clock here on WSGW 100.5 FM. Or if you want to stream, you choose local sports stream on WSGW.com. And Gene called me back and said there's nothing between 660 and 790 on the AM dial. I will have to do a little more research here on the WJR issue. All right, we'll take a break, and then we'll be back. Let me take a moment to tell you about Quick Lane Freeland next to my car dealer, McDonald Ford. Quick Lane Freeland, your one-stop shop for everything needed for regular repair of your automobile, your routine maintenance, oil changes, batteries, tires, you name it. They'll do it on all makes and models of cars now. Remind you, not just Fords. They work on everything, keeping them in tip-top shape. They offer you a product called FrigiFresh, which keeps your cabin in tip-top shape for health reasons in your car. FrigiFresh is a hospital-grade disinfectant. They place it in your air conditioning system. It kills germs, odors, mildew, mold, all of that, so that the cabin you drive in your automobile is healthy. It's only $20, takes 10 minutes, no appointments necessary. You just drive into Quick Lane Freeland and ask for FrigiFresh. That's simple. While you're there, check out all their other services. Quick Lane Freeland, next to McDonald Ford in Freeland.
Swipe, win, and go fun.
All right, back with you. Been trying to check out Gene's question about WJR Detroit. I don't know if they've reduced power or something. They are still on the air, but you can also get them, Gene, on a stream if you have your computer handy. So there. All right, let's see. Carl's in Saginaw. Carl, good morning to you.
Good morning, Art. Yeah, I just tried to get 760 on my radio, and I got a lot of static.
Yeah.
I can get it, but not real clear, not like it used to be.
Well, they were a 50,000 watt blowtorch. I don't know if they've reduced power maybe or something. I'm going to have to try and find out. But I'm on their website, and they're still there. So.
Yeah, it used to come in as clear as you do on AM.
Yep.
And now it's like, I'm listening to, well, anyway. You're talking about candidates moderating their position as it gets closer to the election. Mm-hmm. Seems to me that Donald Trump is trying to do that with the abortion issue. A couple years ago, he was bragging about he was the one that killed Roe v. Wade. And now his position is kind of flip-flopping all over. And
No. Yeah, he did brag about killing. Now, just a minute. He was bragging about killing Roe v. Wade. Yep, absolutely. But that's because he wanted it to be a state's issue. And that's exactly what he got. So he hasn't changed his position on that at all.
Well, he was just as a state's issue in Florida, they're voting on this in November, a 6-week ban. And he was asked about it. One day he was against it, then the next day he was for it, then the next day he was against it again. I'd call that flip-flopping on the issue. And I still think he's, you say sending it back to the states. He's trying to distance himself from the abortion issue, trying to back away from it. During the Republican convention, they didn't mention right to life at all.
Yeah, well, there's a reason for that, though.
A 4-day convention.
There's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. The reason for that is it's a losing issue. So if you're a politician, you back away from losing issues.
Yes. I also heard that Donald Trump, he's in favor now of lessening marijuana laws, legalizing marijuana laws. I guess he came out for that.
Well, I think a lot of them for that because that horse is out of the barn. They're going to need to take marijuana off the Schedule 1 list. It makes no sense for the federal government to ban it because they've lost the war.
That. Yeah, but a lot of politicians have not come out and said that. I agree with that. It should be changed.
Let's put it this way: it's certainly not the top of mind issue in this day and age. There are too many others.
It just seems like it just seems like Trump is trying to moderate his position.
Yeah, and it sounds to me like you're trying to prove it. So it's all right. That's fine.
Well,
that's fine.
Well, all right. You're saying that Harris was a very radical senator. Can we say that she has changed? Can people change? And
she hasn't shown it up until her becoming a candidate for office. She's not shown that at all. Only when she became a candidate did we start to see that modification of position. But she had all this other time in history to prove herself, and she's proved herself to be a progressive.
In the 1990s, Donald Trump was pro-choice.
Yeah, okay.
So, what? He can change his position? In fact, Donald Trump donated to Harris' campaign back in 2004.
Yeah, but his position changed as an evolution, not because he was a candidate.
Oh, I see. Not because he decided to run for office and then changed his position. That's not why it happened.
His positions evolved. Hers changed overnight.
Well, you sure like to give him the benefit of the doubt, Art.
And you sure like to withhold the doubt.
Well,
which only means one thing.
It
means one thing, Carl. You have chosen who you wish to vote for, and that is fine. I respect you for that. Others have chosen who they want to vote for. You have to do the same, and I'm sure you do. You can make your points and you can make your position, but when it comes down to it, you've got your candidate, others have theirs. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, but I'm hoping.
What do you think you're going to find?
A few people in the middle, a few undecided people are maybe still on the fence. Maybe our discussion can, make them decide one way or the other, help them.
Yeah. Might not go your way, but could help them.
I know. But I look at Donald Trump. I look at Donald Trump and I see a hustler, a huckster.
Yeah, you see somebody you don't like. I got you.
Well, I don't see how it's not obvious. I don't see how it's not obvious to anyone.
And I don't see how
you look at the guy.
And I don't see how it's not obvious that her changing of her positions is simply to get elected. Bernie Sanders even said so yesterday. He came out and said it.
Okay, and J.D. Vance said that Trump was Hitler, but he can change his position.
I'm not voting for Vance, and I'm not voting for Walz. I'm voting for a president.
Well,
at one time I thought I was going to be voting for a vice president, but I'm not now. All right, Carl, got to run. Take care. Bye-bye. We'll be back.
I'm Kamala Harris.
Amp and Robbins, weekdays at noon on 100.5 and 790. News Radio WSGW.
All right, we're back. Let's see if we can run these calls out here. Sally is in Saginaw. Good morning, Sally.
Hi. I want to get off of politics right now and get back to music.
Amen.
You gave the yeah, good, right. You gave the information about Sergio Mendes passing away. Just a bit of trivia. Sergio he was on a record label of A&M.
Right.
Now, A&M was actually Alpert and Mendez.
Mm-hmm.
Herb Alpert, connected to Herb Alpert and the, Tijuana Brass.
Right.
And the lady, I think, that was singing the song that you played, it at some point or another became Mrs. Herb Alpert.
Oh, was that the girl from Ipanema, or?
Yeah,
yes.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting. And Sergio Mendes, he was his number one album was in 1966 because it was Sergio Mendes and Brasilia 66.
Yeah. Well, it goes back a ways.
Yeah. So do I.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah. Okay, but I just thought just a little trivia there.
Well, I appreciate it, Sally. Thanks.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Have a good one. Bye-bye now.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, Scott in Saginaw. Good morning, Scott.
Hey, morning, Art. Back to politics.
Of course.
Quick. Well, you don't really want me talking about the Bible, so I stay away from it.
Okay, good.
As far as this whole Trump thing with them changing his scheduling, my theory on this is they are hoping and praying that Kamala Harris will become president, because if she does, they will strip Donald Trump of his Secret Service detail, and they will throw him into prison. And I don't think that that's a conspiracy theory at all. I think that's exactly what they're going to do.
Let me ask you a question, Scott. Let me ask you a question. And this has crossed my mind a couple of times. If Donald Trump had decided not to run again for president, would any of these shenanigans taken place?
I don't think it would be such a push to do it. There might still be something out there because they don't like the man, but they're afraid of him because they know that. I mean, we've been watching this. All these people on the Democrats now are getting busted all over the place, taking money from other countries. We know our FBI covered up our U.S. gymnasts being raped for at least 10 years. So Trump said he wants to clean this up. And if anybody's against that, why are they so sick? I don't understand that. It's this hatred that these people have for Trump. You know, and for for Carl there, I think he's going to have the same situation that we had with the last debate. He called and he was in favor of Biden right before the debate, right after he wanted a new candidate. And I think he's going to be on the same trail when
maybe. We'll find out tonight. We'll find out tonight.
Oh, I think there's a lot of hype on this. This is the Super Bowl, baby. This is the Super Bowl.
It's going to be interesting. All right.
All right, Art.
Good enough.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye now. Let's talk to Kim in Bay City. Kim, good morning to you.
Good morning. Just something to touch on quick, and actually Scott said it a little, but they say love is blind, and just listening to the conversations back and forth, hatred is blind too.
Oh, what a good way to end. Thank you, Kim.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
All right, have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
That's going to do it for calls this hour because we are out of time, and we'll be back to close out. All right, that does it for first hour of the Art Lewis Show. Coming up next hour, we'll be talking to Bay County Executive Jim Barsha about what's happening in Bay County these days. Follows the news from CBS, bringing you up to date on the world and the nation. In the WSGW newsroom is Michael Percha, and we will be back right after the news. We'll talk to you then.
Broadcasting from
than what's officially projected.
Donald Trump and Kamala Harris take center stage in the Cradle of Liberty tonight for their first and possibly only debate of this year's presidential season. Correspondent Robert Costa is in Philadelphia with what to look for from the former president.
Look for him to bring up issues like the immigration crisis at the border as he sees it, crime, national security. He's going to try to position himself, even if the people have questions about his conduct in the past, as someone who can come into the White House and offer change.
California Governor Gavin Newsom tells CBS Mornings Harris would do well to play up the Biden administration record.
We have the fastest growing economy of all of our competitors around the world, and we've tamed inflation. At the same time, she's got a paid and compelling vision for the next 4 years.
Israel says the death of an American activist during a protest in the West Bank last week was not intentional. CBS's Cami McCormick.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken said the shooting death of Aishanur Egi was unprovoked and unjustified.
We've seen reports of excessive force by Israeli security forces against Palestinians. And now we have the second American citizen killed at the hands of Israeli security forces. It's not acceptable.
He said the U.S. will be making it very clear to Israeli officials that changes must be made in the way they're operating in the West Bank.
U.S. accusing Iran of supplying Russia with short-range ballistic missiles to use in the war in Ukraine. Secretary of State Blinken says sanctions are on the way. Growing recall over a problem with brakes is costing BMW dearly. WWJ's Jeff Gilbert.
Today, the car maker said this will impact its profits for the full fiscal year. BMW has also been hurt by lower sales in China.
Dow down 121. This is CBS News.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Get renter's insurance to protect the things that make your place a home, including coverage for theft or damage. Visit Progressive.com.
Kapoku Community...
Live from the 100.5 and 790 newsroom, This is WSGW News.
Sunny skies and 63 degrees at 10:05. Good morning, I'm Mike Percha. A Flint Township man is expected to face only probation after pleading no contest to 4 charges related to making threats against the school. 38-year-old Thomas Ladding entered a plea this week on charges of threat of terrorism, threat of bomb or harmful device, intentional threat to commit an act of violence against a school, and ethnic intimidation. Police say on February 12th, Ladding arrived at McMonagle Elementary School to pick up his daughter, but was confused about the time of pickup and what door she would be exiting. Police say Ladding started making threats of violence and using racial slurs at school staff. Ladding previously served 7 years in prison for pleading guilty in 2009 to explosives, arson, and assault with a dangerous weapon. Crime Stoppers is offering up to $1,000 for information leading to the arrest of a fugitive believed to be in the Flint area. 30-year-old James Sylvester Lara is wanted on charges of assault with intent to murder, felony firearm, discharging a firearm from a vehicle, and felon in possession of a firearm. He is considered armed and dangerous. Police say do not approach the man if you see him, but call 911. Anyone with information on Lara's whereabouts is urged to call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-422-JAIL. My Michigan Medical Center in Saginaw is celebrating 150 years this week. The medical center, formerly Ascension St. Mary's, is hosting a special 150th anniversary meal for staff on all shifts. A display has been created in the medical center featuring historical hospital artifacts depicting how healthcare has evolved throughout the decades. In addition, all staff will receive a commemorative gift to honor that heritage. On August 1st, Ascension Michigan's hospitals, sites of care, and related physician practices in Saginaw, Standish, and Tawas join the My Michigan Healthcare Network. WSGW News Time 10:07.
Do you know that air duct cleaning...
News Time 10:08. The weather forecast is next. A northern Michigan man is lodged in the Manistee County Jail after allegedly making threats. The victim says she had an argument with James McNamara of Kalkaska. During that time, he's charged with assaulting her and threatening her with a shotgun. The victim also says he took her phone to prevent her from calling for help. Eventually, McNamara left and the woman was able to call. When he returned, police were there to arrest him. He's charged with multiple counts of assault, among other charges. Michigan has logged its 20th worker death in the state for the year. Here's Michigan News Network's Ryan Recker.
Last Friday, a 36-year-old in Fremont was working on a bowling alley roof when they fell 20 feet and died. Another deadly injury happened earlier this year, now added to the totals. It was first reported to OSHA in April when a 22-year-old worker in Cadillac was removing a package from a conveyor belt and twisted his knee. A month later, the victim died to complications from the injury after forming blood clots. These were the 19th and 20th reported deaths in Michigan this year. Ryan Recker for the Michigan News Network.
An Arizona man has been accused of raping a woman while in Metro Detroit for a work conference. The Oakland County Prosecutor's Office has filed criminal sexual conduct and home invasion charges against 36-year-old Joel DeLavera. Investigators say DeLavera was at a conference last month, and that's when he made a copy of the victim's Auburn Hills hotel room key and went into her room and allegedly assaulted her before going back to Yuma, Arizona. DeLavera was released on bond and is due back in court next week. WSGW News Time 10:10. I'm Mike Percha.
Side Decorating Center. Good morning and welcome to Hour 2 of the Art Lewis Show. Before we get to our guest, those of you listening, particularly on 100.5 FM, I just want you to know that our signal is probably not what you're used to because they are painting the tower that our transmitter antenna sits on. And we've had to lower power and at times probably shut it off. So if the FM sounds funny or disappears, we are aware of it. They are painting right around our antenna today, which is why they don't want the RF interfering with the painters, obviously. So we will keep you apprised of that effort. All right, keeping apprised of things is what we do when we talk about Bay County, and we do it with the Bay County Executive. And we say good morning to Jim Barsha. Jim, good morning to you.
Good morning, Art. It's always a pleasure to join your program, and I want to again once again, thank you for disseminating so much important information to the region through your wonderful program, and I'm always honored to be a guest.
It's good to have you. And I always ask, what's new in Bay County? Anything going on? I think the animal shelter may come to the forefront here, won't it?
Yes, we're excited. I know we've talked about it extensively over the last year since the voters overwhelmingly approved a small millage to fund a new state-of-the-art animal shelter for Bay County, which will be located next to the current facility in the Bay County Fairgrounds. And we have a groundbreaking plan for September 26th between 1 and 4 o'clock. And we've invited community leaders and the public to come out and kind of learn more about what the shelter will provide. We're going to have a lot of additional kennel space for the dogs and additional cages for the cat population. And as you know, Art, in 2017, we adopted a no-kill policy. That doesn't mean zero kill. Violent dogs that attack, people and stuff and are ordered put down by a judge, or grievously injured dogs or dogs that have cancer or something with a terminal illness. Sometimes we'll put them down for the owners if it's confirmed that they're terminally ill. It's a little more affordable than some of the other options, but we're looking forward to breaking ground. And, part of it's not just adopting pets into loving homes. It's also about protecting the public from, a disease that can be spread, rabies and other parvo and other diseases that will impact the community and the residents of Bay County. So there are a lot of responsibilities at the Animal Services and Adoption Center. It's not just adoption, but we've had great success, and we've been at 97% adopt rate since about 2017, late 2017, 2018. And I want to thank the public for coming out. We have volunteers that walk the dogs 6 days a week, dog walkers through the fairgrounds that make our dogs much more adoptable because they get fresh air, exercise, and sunshine, and settles them down and calms their emotions from being caged, for so many hours in the day. So everything is going well out there, and we expect a nice turnout on September 26th at the site, and welcome anyone who's interested to come out and join the festivities. We will have refreshments and welcome the public to just kind of talk about, what our plans are. It's going to be a state-of-the-art facility for animal services, and we look forward to breaking ground. Should be, Spence Brothers is the contractor that won the contract through our purchasing department, and they tell us it'll be about a 15-month approximately before it's completed.
I was going to ask about that because, you're breaking ground in the fall, heading into the winter season, and I wondered how long it was going to take. So they say about 15 months then to get it done, huh?
Yeah, well, starting in the winter will delay us a little bit, but there's a lot of foundation work since it's going to be a new building. We got prices, from the contractors on whether it would make sense to renovate the current facility, which was never designed to be an animal shelter, but was rather a mosquito control building, and back in the early 2000s. And so it's inadequate, and it's been a struggle for the staff out there. But the new shelter will certainly serve for the next 2 or 3 decades the residents of Bay County well. And Art, we have another project too, the Art Van Building, which will be a health services center, a one-stop shop that will include some other. We'll have 3 tenants in the 45,000 square foot Art Van Building on Wilder Road, which we purchased with all federal funds. We had. We bid on that because Art Van was in bankruptcy, and we secured the building for $3.2 million. We had set aside $9 million of our $20 million ARP funding, federal funding for COVID, and it was certainly encouraged by the federal government to invest in health services and going forward in the event we have another pandemic, and God forbid. And so that project will take that contract was won by Serenus Johnson, a company in Bay County that's been in operation since I believe 105 years, and they've been operating in Bay County, well-known, great contractor, and
big supporter of
interior work.
They're big supporters. They're big supporters. Serenus Johnson's big supporter of the rescue ministries and the Good Samaritan.
Yeah, they both companies do a lot giving back to the community, and we're blessed to have them in the region. So that renovation will take about 12 months. It'll be all interior work, and Congressman Kildee, if you recall, Art secured $2 million in community project funding to add to our $9 million. So we have $7.8 million to renovate, and that building also, with no local dollars involved, shall serve the residents of Bay County for at least a couple of decades. And the building is in pristine condition, the roof, the parking lot, the HVAC. So it'll be interior renovation to house 3 tenants that have requested space, all in the human services profession. And they will pay us enough lease payments to pay all the utility bills and regular maintenance of the building going forward. So we're pleased about both those.
That's projects. A win-win. That's a big win-win.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah. One question, go back to the animal shelter for a minute. Is the old one going to be torn down then?
No, we'll probably use that for storage. We have sometimes evidence that must be retained by the Sheriff's Department or the prosecutor's office. What we are thinking of doing at Fairgrounds is removing the old the Quonset hut that currently houses some of that stuff that has to be stored until the appeals run out after 17 years. And so we would move some of we would keep that building intact. It's still structurally sound, but it was never designed to be a animal shelter. And we will reuse some of the kennels and cages into the new facility because we're being very frugal. It's not going to be a Taj Mahal, but it will be state of the art. But it'll be $7.5 million animal shelter, and I think Saginaw's was $10 or $12 million, as I recall. They have, of course, more residents than we do and more animals to deal with. But our shelter should be very sufficient for the decades that are approaching. So.
All right, hang on. I got to take a break, and we'll be back. We're talking to Bay County Executive Jim Barsha. If you have any questions for the executive, give us a call, 989-752-6111, and we will be back.
Donald Trump's back.
All right, we're back with you. We're chatting with Bay County Executive Jim Barsha. And, Jim, we got a caller waiting for you. Let's talk to Diane. Diane is in Hampton Township. Diane, good morning. You're on with Jim Barsha.
Morning.
Hello, Diane.
Jim, hi. My question to you is, we use the dog park at the fairgrounds all the time. With the new building, what effect will the placement or the size of the dog park be?
Oh, it's going to be the same size, and we're going to relocate it. And we're in negotiations also with an entity that's purchasing the two businesses over there. Not Little Caesars, but Long John Silver's, and also it's a credit union which is purchasing 2 properties, and we're going to negotiate to expand parking for the 5 days that we have the Bay County Fair. But we're going to comport everything. We're going to just move the dog park, so it should essentially be the same size. And then the new animal shelter will encroach basically a little bit on the front on Livingston Street, right where the dog park is. We're also thinking about, talking a little bit about installing a dog park out at the old Par 3 State Park driving range for those folks that live on the west side of the river, because as you know, Diane, it's very popular and it's well used, the dog park, the Bark Park, to get over there and let your animals run without a leash and interact with other dogs and in a safe environment where they can't run and out into the street and get hit or hurt. So it's popular, and we intend to keep that Bark Park, and it will just be relocated because where the new facility will will be facing Livingston, and we've had to work with the city on the egress and the ingress to get into the new shelter.
Jim, let me ask while Diane's on the phone, when you say move it, how far? Is it going to be relatively in the same location?
It'll be adjacent to the animal shelter.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've got quite a bit of space.
So it'll be north of where it is now?
I think so. We've got a series, a number of maps, and we're still working out. We're 90% done on the design of the animal shelter itself, but from the beginning, we've talked about relocating it. So we're still in discussions with the Bay County Fair Board, as well as one tenant that we have over on Livingston Street. But there's plenty of space, and we will definitely have our bark park will continue.
So you're talking about moving in feet rather than blocks?
No, it'll be adjacent to the animal shelter.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. Will
Does that answer your question, Diane?
Sort of. When the bark park moves, will another one be built, or are we down for the 15 months that the new building is being built?
Oh, good question.
No, it'll be moved. The bark park will be moved, and as you know, it'll be winter, so it's going to be a slow start on the construction. They'll be working on the foundation and that stuff. So before they can do that, the bark park will be moved. Yes.
All right.
And we'll use the
very
same
much.
fencing and same posts. Yeah. Thank you, Diane. Are you a person that regularly takes your dog over there to enjoy it, or?
Well, pretty regularly, maybe once a week or so, because I usually walk in the neighborhood. But we enjoy being there, and it's well used and a wonderful facility.
Yes, it's very popular with the public, and I know I've got a little dog, and occasionally I take a little Benji over there to let him run as well, and he interacts very well. He, like most dogs, he's a little lover boy, and he loves to interact with the other dogs and chase and run around in the bark park. That's so. But thanks, Diane, for the call. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Diane.
And if you're around, I hope on September 26th, the afternoon of Thursday the 26th, it'd be wonderful if you could stop by.
There you go.
It would be great if you posted a sign there. I'm sure you'd get a lot of people.
Yep, we have a good response already. We sent out an email to the media and to elected officials and the public, and as well as all of the unions that will be help constructing a new animal shelter. So we'll have a short program with about 4 speakers, but we'll have refreshments and some shade, in the event of inclement weather, a nice tent. And so we hope for a good turnout, and we're so grateful that the voters approved a 0.7 mil request, which is about $23 a year on a $100,000 home to fund the new shelter. It will be, I think we'll all be very proud of it, and it will be a state-of-the-art shelter. We put a lot of time into with the architects and the designers of animal shelters nationally to construct a facility that will take care of our animals and serve the public very well for decades to come.
And for the most part, we are pet lovers, aren't we?
Yeah. I think at one point I heard a statistic that around, I think in Michigan, that about 80% of families at one time, if not currently, have a pet.
Yeah.
And as we know, they become a member of the family.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Diane, thank you.
Thank you very, very much.
You bet.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
If you have any questions for the Bay County Executive, 989-752-6111. The animal shelter, it's been a forefront topic for a long time. And it's got to be a little bit of relief to know it's going to come to fruition.
Yes. It's we definitely wanted to move ahead quickly so we've been in negotiations, and of course we had to bid. We had 8 different companies that submitted bids, and our team of 5 in the county selected, what made the most sense, both on cost and also experience, and the amount of talent that they had and experience they had in constructing animal shelters. So we have a good team in place, and as we do with Serenas Johnson on the new Health Services Center. So, so we're really excited and looking forward to getting that underway. And I know the public will be pleased, I think, with the final result. The other thing I would mention is if we have a little time in this segment, I spoke to the Friends of the Bay City State Park last night and let them know about our plans for the old Par 3 property, the old Bay City State State Park driving range that was owned by the Pafford family for many years, and then the county purchased, with the provision that it would remain in a wild state or a natural state, And so we're looking at working with Eagle and the Department of Natural Resources to develop that into a wetlands, basically a potential enhancement of the property to basically enhance the natural site features to encourage public use, recreation, and appreciation of the wetlands along with the forested area and the 17 acres there surrounding the site.
So
it's close, right down the road from the Bay City State Park.
Right.
And the wetlands areas would be expanded and deepened, and it would be my vision to help create the opportunity for children to enjoy a safe first fishing experience, catching panfish or viewing impressive water birds, such as our local egrets and great blue heron that would use that area. And we're working with Eagle to develop that site instead of it just letting it sit there idle. We'd like to utilize that 17 acres to make it more available and accessible to the public.
Jim, I got to take a break. We come back, we'll have a call from John in Bangor Township when we return, talking to the Bay County Executive Jim Barsha.
The old saying, the bitterness of pork.
All right, we're back with you talking to Bay County Executive Jim Barsha. And Jim, we have John on the line from Bangor Township. John, good morning.
Hey. Good morning.
Hello, John.
Yeah, I appreciate you taking my call. I just have one basic question. I've asked around and have no information, but do we have any record of how many of the illegal immigrants that have come across our border are in our county?
We don't. We have census tract data, and we do have some people migrating from northern Michigan to Bay City. We understand that some of those communities are buying them bus tickets to come down to Bay City, and so we have an issue we're trying to collaborate with the city on with what to do with some of these homeless folks that are coming our way. And I know Traverse City they had about 400 homeless, and they secured a HUD grant that provided affordable but small housing, I guess, to get those folks off because of the tourism and the quality of life issues.
Jim,
what I'll do, John, if you can call me, we will try to secure any information that we can, and you feel free to give me a call at the county building later after Art's program concludes. My number is 989-89-54130. But I'd love to talk to you, and I'll try to get whatever information we can for you on illegal immigrants that are residing in Bay County if we have some.
Okay, I appreciate the information. I'll try to call you later in the day.
Good enough.
Yeah, thanks, John. And I've long felt that the open border was a serious crisis. Even prior to the 2016 election, I thought that our federal government was not responding appropriately, and
never have.
We have to go through proper channels to allow immigrants into our country.
Very good. Thanks, John.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye now.
Thanks, John.
Bye.
And let's talk to Mary in Bay City. Mary, you are on with Jim Barsha.
I got a question in regards to the state park. Why don't we let somebody go in and clean out all of that trees that have fallen over? And, to me, that's kind of like a fire hazard waiting to happen. You look at California on fire because they don't take good care of their forestry. I think we're not doing a very good job with areas that have a lot of wood that could be actually harvested, and maybe people that could use it, but it just lays there rotting. And I think it could clean up that state park tremendously. That's my comment. Thank you.
Yeah, Mary, if you're still on, would that be in the lagoon area, or is that out on the beach area?
No, it's right where they camp and all around the corner there.
In the campground area.
The campground.
Yeah,
okay, the campground. I've been out there a couple of times this summer and didn't see it. However, I will be happy to pass that to the park ranger, Rich, who, as you know, that is a state park operated by the Department of Natural Resources. And the Friends of the State Park provide input and raise money. So I will pass that along to the Friends of the State Park to press, as well as I've been thinking about inviting Scott Bowen, who has been a personal friend of mine for about 20 years, who is the new Department of Natural Resources Director, to come up and spend a day in Bay County, both at the state park as well as some of the other issues we have with our shoreline, see if we can engage the department a little more actively on our concerns in Bay County. So what I will do, Mary, is I will follow up on that and see, how we can get those down trees removed as soon as possible. It's not a county park; it's a state park.
If you drive around that corner, you can see all this wood that's laying down.
Yeah,
it's
but I get
jungle in there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Well, thanks for letting me know, Mary.
Yeah, that's something that people have to realize, that there are county issues, there are state issues, and you can only do so much with the state issues. You got to make the state aware of it.
I sure will do that, and we're looking forward to having the director come up and spending at least, one day in Bay County to address some of our concerns, and that will be one of them, because the Bay City State Park is a gem, and it draws a lot of people from the region, as well as many Bay County residents who love to camp in the campground area. It's, I think, 90-some campsites, if I recall correctly, and then with SOS and Ernie Krieger and the other folks and the Friends of the State Park, we have tried to address the beach wellness issues. We're making a lot of progress out there, and I think it is a wonderful asset for Bay County and our region.
And actually, when she said clean up the state park, I was telling myself, wow, the park is very clean. But and now I understand what she's talking about across the street on the campground side.
Yes, yeah.
So, all right,
I was out there a couple of times this year that didn't notice the trees that Mary's referring to, but I will look into it and pass that along to the appropriate officials.
All right, Jim, hang on. We'll take a break. And if you have a question for the Bay County Executive, 989-752-6111.
I'm Attorney Jerry Reif, and
Hey, we're back with you, chatting with Bay County Executive Jim Barsha. Jim, let me ask, how's the financial health of Bay County?
We're doing very well. We have a $5 million fund balance, and we also are fully funded in our budget stabilization. And that brings me to another point I'd kind of like to mention, some positive recognition that we got. Part of, we're increasing the revenue stream to not only Bay County, but all the taxing entities, Delta College and those that rely on millages, Bay Metro, and different entities that the voters have approved, mosquito control. And we were mentioned in July 8th by the New York Times. If I could, I'd just say that after the recession in 2008 and 2009, America's so-called left-behind counties, the once great manufacturing centers and other distressed places that struggled mightily at the start of this century after 2000, have staged a remarkable comeback. And we were highlighted along with two other counties as out of the recession. The last two decades were economically cruel for the 1,000 or so left-behind counties in the U.S. Places like Bay County, Michigan, Dyer County, Tennessee, and Lackawanna County, Pennsylvania. And these counties added jobs and people far more slowly than the nation as a whole. We lost factories to foreign competitors like China, and many lost residents, including many educated young workers who relocated to find, more gainful employment in Bay County. Many relocated to Oakland County, Kent County, or sadly out of state.
Yep.
But then it references once again, perhaps most strikingly, they have shared in the new business boom that has swept the country since the pandemic, and that didn't happen after the Great Recession. From 2009 to 2016, for example, Bay County, Michigan lost 8% of its business establishments. since 2020, it has gained 12%. So we're expanding our investment, and we've talked about, prior, programs that I've been a guest on, Art, SK Siltron CSS in Monitor and Williams Townships, as well as $80 million investment and that's over $1 billion, one company alone, and then $80 million in beautiful Bangor by the Bay, Bangor Township, Vantage Plastics, $100 million expansion at Merson and Bay City, and compliment Bay City for their work on that. And recently, a ribbon cutting at Michigan Sugar in Monitor Township that was a $109 million investment and expansion to process molasses. So things are looking up with a lot of jobs in the pipeline, and these jobs are good-paying jobs with benefits that will allow someone to purchase a home and remain in Bay County and plant a flag here and remain here. And so we're excited about the national recognition and want to thank Bay Future and the Bay Area Chamber of Commerce. I think I mentioned previously, Art, that we invested about a little over $2 million of our ARP money, of our $20 million, along with the $9 million for the Health Services Center, in bolstering the economic development efforts of Bay Future and the Bay Area Chamber.
And, I guess the other thing about that, Jim, is what happens in Bay County, positive news like that, is good for the region, because we are becoming more and more a region, aren't we?
Yes, we are. It's not difficult to travel from, it's about a 25-minute drive to Midland. That's another area of Dow Chemical announced a huge expansion, also investment into their operations that cover Bay County, as well as the city of Midland. So things are looking up, investments are being made. And part of the reason, we have an increase of about 5% in revenue, and that's the expanded tax base that we're seeing as a result of these investments, corporate investments. And, about 20 minutes you can be in Midland. I mean, I drove up to Pinconning from my home in Bangor Township in about 18, 20 minutes.
Yep. And
so we're a region, and whether we live in Saginaw or we live in Midland or Bay, there's with the also the expansion of the Hemlock Semiconductor, that's going to be a huge investment and create a lot of employment for a lot of the area residents, not just Saginaw County.
So the question, and we only have 2 minutes left here, but the big question is affordable housing. How are we doing at developing it?
That's our next challenge, because I was talking with Greg Barton from the Pinconning Journal a few weeks ago, and he was saying, Jim, what can we do for the northern tier of Bay County? So we don't have any downtown development authorities up there. And, we have a great quality of life with a low crime rate, natural resources, and we're located on Lake Huron, the Saginaw Bay, with fishing and all kinds of recreational opportunities. Well, we'd like to see, and we're going to be meeting with Midland County. They're a little ahead of us on working to expand housing that's affordable for young families, a starter home, not a $300,000 or $400,000 home, but something in $150,000 to $200,000 or $175,000 or lower. Of course, the challenge with that, Art, is the cost
building
of materials and construction.
Yeah.
But what we need to do is, I know it's being talked about at the federal level, and Governor Whitmer has talked about what we can do to enhance our housing options for people with their starting out, young couples that want to raise a family and have a nice home, a newer home, something that's affordable.
Yeah. Jim, I got to interrupt because we're out of time, but we'll do it again. It's always fun.
Thanks again, Art, for having me on. I always appreciate the opportunity, and keep up the great work on informing the region of what's happening in the Great Lakes Bay region. Thank you, Art.
We'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye now. Bay County Executive Jim Barsha, we thank him for spending time with us this morning. Take a break, come back and tell you what's ahead on Focus.
Kapoku Community
for the Art Lewis Show for today. We'll be back tomorrow with lots more, of course. Coming up on Focus, we'll be talking to Ben Liebenow from RoofMax, the safe, affordable, easy alternative to asphalt shingle roof replacement. My thanks to Westside Decorating Center, 5789 State Street in Saginaw, for sponsoring the Art Lewis Show. News is next from CBS, the local report with Michael Percha in the WSGW newsroom, and then we will return with Focus.
Broadcasting from the